So she claims she did try to leave several times, but Diddy would always send his team to find her, track her down, bring her back, under the basis that her career would be ruined if she left.
Is he controlling? Yes, he is. Will he put his hands on a female? Yes, he will. Would he put his hands on a male producer or anything? Yes, he will.
Buckle up, because today we're diving into the latest scandal surrounding Sean Diddy Combs and his entire family. If you thought things were already messy with Diddy's legal issues, hold on tight, because it looks like the trouble has spread to his kids, yes, even his young daughters. This story just keeps getting crazier by the minute, and we're here to break it all down for you. From federal investigations to family drama, and even rumors that Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian, might be on the run, this is one train wreck you don't want to miss. So grab your popcorn, because we're about to spill all the tea.
Again, we do not know what is the information that law enforcement had before going in to execute that search warrant.
All right, let's get into it. So, as you all know by now, Diddy has been neck deep in legal problems for a while. It all started when those lawsuits hit him last year, yeah. You remember the one where Cassie, his ex, came forward with some serious accusations. Since then, it's been one thing after another. But now, things have escalated to a whole new level. The feds aren't just coming for Diddy, they've got their eyes on his whole family. And here's where things get really wild. His kids' passports have been seized. You heard. That right, even his daughters, who are still pretty young, have been caught up in this whole mess. Like, what did they do to deserve this? Now, let's rewind a bit. If you've been following this case from the start, then you already knew things weren't looking good for Diddy, but what no one saw coming was how messy it would all get. We mean, sure, he had a ton of civil lawsuits, but nobody thought things would turn criminal. Yet, here we are. The big turning point came when the feds raided his homes in both Miami and New York at the same time. And they weren't playing around, they seized everything from security cameras to hours of video footage. Yeah, we're talking serious stuff here.
I backed into the corner, and he was like cussing her out with his hand in her face.
Later that night, Red, who was staying at Cassie's home, says she awoke to screaming.
This was when things took a real nosedive for Diddy, because one of his former employees, someone close to him, named Lil Rod, had already spilled the beans on what was caught in those videos. According to him, the footage captured some pretty disturbing things. A federal officer even came forward saying they're responding to concrete, detailed, explicit allegations, adding, "This is not random. We didn't just pull Diddy's name out of a hat. We're following up on serious claims."
Diddy? I think industry talk, there's a lot of people who have worked for him. There's been stories around, which is, not necessarily unusual.
And here's where things get really twisted. Diddy's son, Justin, is now being dragged into the mess because, according to Lil Ra, Justin had a pretty sketchy role in his father's shady activities. Allegedly, his job was to round up women for some wild parties, and let's just say those parties were not your average get-together. The rumor mill is buzzing that Justin was in charge of making sure everything was wound down smoothly. So when people started saying that Justin might be on the run, it's not exactly surprising. After all, who wants to end up in the same situation as their dad?
Just last week, federal agents raided 2 homes of rapper and music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami. Combs is the subject of a federal investigation.
And it's not just Justin who's caught up in this web of trouble. Christian, Diddy's other son, has his own set of problems. There's been a lawsuit filed against him, accusing him of assaulting a woman while they were on a family holiday on a yacht yard. The woman, named Grace O'Mara, came forward claiming that Christian tried to do some pretty bad things to her while they were out at sea. She says he cornered her and tried to force her into some inappropriate situations. She even provided photos of bruises as evidence. This is not just some minor accusation. It's serious. And now Christian's name is being added to the list of those under investigation.
Sounds like a very toxic work environment. What is your take on that?
Toxic, but this is illegal behavior. You cannot put hands, this is battery. It's criminal battery.
So here's the million-dollar question. Why did the feds go after Diddy's kids too? We mean, sure, Justin and Christian might be in trouble, but why take away the passports of the younger daughters? Some fans have speculated that it's because their names might be linked to offshore bank accounts, which Diddy could use to move money around. And if the feds think Diddy is trying to hide cash overseas, well, it makes sense that they take extreme measures to keep an eye on the whole family.
The experience of getting over it is usually pretty quick and easy if you really don't think that he's right for you anyway. Just keep it moving.
But let's not forget that while Justin and Christian might be in hot water, Diddy's daughters are being treated a little differently. They've had their passports seized, but unlike their older brothers, they haven't gone into hiding, or at least, not yet. And that's got fans raising questions. How come the daughters are being watched so closely? But Justin and Christian, who have real allegations against them, seem to have slipped under the radar. Some people are even saying it's a double standard. Why are the innocent ones getting their movements restricted while the older brothers could be plotting their next move? One fan commented, Diddy's sons can be both victims and perpetrators. You can mourn for the little boys who didn't have a choice while holding the men they are today accountable. And honestly, that seems to sum up how a lot of people feel. Justin and Christian grew up in a world of luxury. But did they choose this path? Or were they pulled into it by their father's lifestyle? Either way, if they're involved, this whole situation might be about to get even worse for Diddy.
And they're like, I can't believe it. Like that somebody would do that to somebody that they say they love.
Yeah.
Think about it, because she was on the floor, passed out. She looked lifeless, and he was kicking her.
Speaking of Diddy, let's talk about the latest in his legal battle. So, after all the drama with the raids and the arrests, Diddy found himself in court trying to secure bail. He offered a staggering $50 million bond, and not just that, he was willing to hand over the deeds to his Miami mansion, his mom's house, and even put his family members on the line as co-signers. Now, that's desperate, but guess what? The judge said no. Yep, they weren't having it. Why? Because prosecutors are convinced Diddy is a flight risk. And let's be real, when you've got that kind of money, disappearing isn't that hard. The judge pointed out that Diddy's got the means and the connections to intimidate witnesses if he's set free. There's also the matter of those questionable substances found in his hotel room when he was arrested. Let's just say the prosecutors aren't taking any chances with him. They're keeping him locked up until the trial, and his legal team is already scrambling to appeal the decision. But for now, Diddy's stuck.
That this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
Now, let's not overlook the fact that Diddy's kids are involved in all this too. Justin and Christian have been a big part of Diddy's public image over the years, often seen with him at events, on social media, and even at his infamous parties. They've enjoyed the benefits of their father's fame and fortune, but now, they're paying the price for it. With these accusations hanging over their heads, their futures are looking pretty uncertain. If the feds really are coming for them next, it could spell disaster for the entire family.
They have people want to make up stuff, but they got people who was there that was witness and speaking about it.
And while Diddy's sons are making headlines for potentially fleeing the country, his legal team is still trying to negotiate his bail. They even offered to restrict Diddy's travel to just a few areas, specifically the Southern District of Florida and New York, so he could attend court, meet with his lawyers, and handle his medical appointments. They're basically trying to promise that Diddy won't go anywhere or mess with the case. But the judge isn't buying it. The court is worried that he'll find some way to interfere, and honestly, given Diddy's track record, you can't really blame them for being cautious.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was up.
It doesn't help Diddy's case that there are rumors swirling about his associates flipping on him. Word on the street is that some of his closest people have cut deals with the feds in exchange for immunity. That means they could be spilling the tea on Diddy's operations, giving investigators the kind of inside info they need to build an airtight case. One source even suggested that many of the people who could have been co-defendants in this case have turned against him, leaving Diddy to take the fall alone. If that's true, it's only a matter of time before we see more details come to light. And you know what's really interesting? Just before all this hit the fan, Diddy paid off a massive mortgage on his Miami home. Coincidence? Probably not. It looks like he was trying to clear his financial slate, maybe in preparation for what was coming. Some people are saying he sold off other properties to raise cash quickly, which makes sense if he knew these legal battles were around the corner. It's like he was bracing for the storm, but even with all that money, he still couldn't avoid getting caught in it.
A lot of it depends on Diddy's situation, the individual facts of each case.
So what happens next? Well, that's the million-dollar question. For now, Diddy is stuck behind bars waiting for his next court date. His sons, Justin and Christian, might be on the run, or maybe they're just lying low either way. They're not out of the woods yet, and his daughters. They're left in limbo, their passports taken away as part of this massive investigation. It's a wild ride, and the drama is far from over. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. What if Justin and Christian really do try to flee the country? Some fans are speculating that they could be planning to escape overseas to avoid getting caught up in their father's mess. And if that happens, it could make things even worse for Diddy. He's already facing charges that could put him away for a long time, possibly for the rest of his life. If his kids are found to be involved in any of the criminal activities the feds are investigating, it could add even more weight to the charges against him.
The only way he will not go to prison for the time that they want to give him is if he start giving them something.
In the end, this whole situation is a mess, and it doesn't seem like it's going to clear up anytime soon. The more we learn, the worse it gets for Diddy and his family. But one thing's for sure, the public is eating it up. Everyone wants to know what happens next, whether Diddy will beat the charges, and if his kids are really guilty of the things they're being accused of. People are glued to their screens, waiting for the next bombshell to drop. So what do you think? Is Diddy going down for good, or does he have a chance of getting out of this? And what about his sons? Are they just victims of circumstance, or did they willingly get involved in their father's shady dealings? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for all the latest updates, because there's sure to be more drama just around the corner.